So for my learning object one, I decided to create an infographic targeted towards middle schoolers that's meant to accompany a verbal presentation about Mycobacterium tuberculosis to help students see what's happening while also having a way to pace themselves and see words and see new vocabulary and things like that. So I traced everything starting at the shedding of the pathogen from an infected individual, and I show how that comes out of the respiratory system and how the bacteria travels through mucus droplets, and I made them green because it's not as green. And then here is a little call out to both cell morphology, being the rod shape bacilli that I've drawn, and also acid fast staining, which would be like the red and the blue, which would be helpful if this presentation were to later be adapted for maybe older students or if kids are just curious. So here you can see I've traced the bacteria as coming into a healthy person's lungs. And here is where we would talk about how these bacteria adhere and use special proteins. And we would develop the language to make it suitable for the audience. And so here I talk about macrophages and how they engulf the bacteria to try to benefit the host and protect the host. And I specifically call these big cells because I want kids to learn science vocabulary, but I don't want them to feel less than because they don't know these big science words just now. And then I mentioned virulence factors here in a very accessible way, talking about how the bacteria kind of has to beef up its defenses to survive. And then I relate granulomas to a jail because everybody knows what a jail is and what it does. So this is just a good way of relating that information into something that they would understand. And so here at the bottom, I'm making the comparison between latent TB and active TB. And so I talk about how the granulomas can imprison these bacteria for a person's whole lifetime, really, and then the interaction of the tuberculosis with other comorbidities such as HIV, anything like that that's going to distract the body. And then I talk about how the bacteria can use this to break out and spread to other parts of the body. And so that's when you're going to start seeing it affect the brain and the bones and causing inflammation, causing things like that, which were some of the learning objectives I was aiming for. And then I just included this little fast fact here because I wanted to drive the point home that it's really easy to get sick, but it's also really easy to not get sick if you just follow basic sick hygiene.